And we're live. How you doing? You well? I actually had the atomic clock counting down to 4 o'clock. I said I was going to do it properly once and for all. How you doing? You well? It's Friday afternoon. I'm just going to try and adjust this thing a bit. And it's the 14th of September, obviously, and it's 4 o'clock UK time as I chat with you. Hope your Friday is going well. Hope you're in good form. All is well with you. As you can see, again, after a dismal, dreary, drizzly, alliteration is my thing. Dreary, drizzly, and dismal start. It's been a miserable start to the day, but it's really come on. It's a really nice early autumnal day now. So then I'm dropping in to do a couple of things. First and foremost, just to mark that tomorrow is the 15th of September, and that will mean that tomorrow the show is exactly 4 years old. The first broadcast was on the 15th of September 2014. And I know probably sounds like a bit of a cliche, but it does feel like a long time ago. It really does. It's mad, really, to think it's 4 years. It feels longer than that. And a lot has happened in that particular time. So I just wanted to mark that. Why do I want to mark that? Out of vanity or for some ego reasons? Well, no, really, I want to thank you for supporting it and for keeping it alive, because the program, of course, is pretty much, not 100%, but 99% funded by you, the listener. And that's quite a remarkable thing, because not to bore you to death with a story that I've told you a few times before, but this particular radio program came out of the failure and the end of the People's Voice television in London, which was at the time was a disappointment for me and for everybody else involved. And in early 2014, when things were going wrong there with that, and it was obvious that it wasn't going to survive, that the money, substantial as it was, that had been raised wasn't going to last very long. Not that I had anything to do with any of that, I didn't. But I began to look around for alternate or alternative employment, and I began to contact commercial radio stations here in the UK and in Ireland and around the continent. And it's not modesty when I say I wasn't really getting anywhere with that. You know, nobody wanted talk radio producers. Nobody wanted talk radio presenters, because the radio stations, the commercial ones anyway, all haven't been bought up by multinationals, you know, like Global Media and Bauer Media and others. I wasn't getting very far. But then I did get a bit of a breakthrough. I was offered a breakfast radio presenting job with a very well-known radio station in the north. Offered me a gig, and I was thrilled with it because I wasn't getting anywhere. And I was flat broke, to say the least. And then, to be fair and to be totally accurate, in telling the story of the radio show, it was actually David Icke that said to me, well, he told me what I knew already. He said, you're not going to be very happy presenting breakfast radio for a commercial radio station, because you're not going to be able to talk about the things that you like to talk about. And you're going to go crazy doing weather and traffic and sports and playing music that you probably won't like. I suggest that you do your show, and you do it yourself, and you build your own studio, and you do it. And if nobody else streams it, Richie, I'll at least stream it for you, said David. And that was back in May/June of 2014, which is why I decamped from London and came back to Manchester. I say came back to Manchester because even though I'd been in Spain for a number of years, I had lived in Manchester before then. So it was kind of a homecoming of sorts, really, coming back up here. So it was David's suggestion at the time. And it was a brilliant suggestion. And I'll always be grateful to him for coming up with the idea, and also for streaming it, of course, and giving it all the promotion that he did in the early days. I'll never forget it as long as I live. So I came up here and threw myself upon the mercy of the listener, turned down a good job and a good job offer. And it's been an adventure. You know, it's been an amazing 4 years in terms of the people that I've gotten to speak to on the show and the stories that they've been able to tell through the show. You know, the wonderful thing, pride is not a great human emotion or a great human trait, but I suppose I have been a bit proud of the fact that so many people were able to come on and speak to me and speak to you through me and say things, sometimes very profound things, sometimes important things, maybe sometimes a lot of bullshit maybe as well, but that's par for the course anyway. But I'm proud that we have a platform that people can come on and say things that they would never get to say on commercial radio or even to a print journalist. And that's what really the show is all about, you know. I'm seeing some nice messages coming in there, by the way. I'll read a few of them. But if I don't read yours, don't be offended. They scroll up very quickly and they disappear very quickly. Hi to Neil, who says, look out, David Icke's behind you dressed in a lizard costume. Hi to Dee and to Chris Widener and to Stevie G. How you doing, Stevie? To Ricky Russell, to Ms. Space Cake and to Glenn, to Well Shafted. And I'm sorry because there were messages before then that I can't see. So it's been a bit of a ride, so it has, in 4 years. And I just like to point something out. This is really going to sound like virtue signaling, but it isn't. I'll tell you what's pretty remarkable about the radio show that I put on with your backing, because it's you that ultimately backs it and supports it. It goes out live 5 days a week. It's 9 hours of live radio, which isn't just me sitting there giving you opinions and telling you how it is. It isn't. It's packed with content. It's packed full of audio and with guests. Well, let me tell you, that show, that 9 hours of live radio a week, is produced, edited, and presented exclusively by me. There is no Richie Allen Show team. And my friend and colleague Jean-Anne Crowley, you hear me mention Jean-Anne quite often on the show because she's a remarkable woman and a huge inspiration to me, and it's been very helpful to me with advice over the years, not just advice, but great support. And Jean-Anne says, you should remind your listeners often enough that it's just you, there is no team. Now, the reason she says that is because Jean-Anne has done everything. She's appeared in major feature films with some of the best and most well-known actors and actresses in the world. She's presented radio for RTE in Ireland. She's written for The Guardian, for The Times. She's an amazing actress. And she's got some really big things coming up as well. And she says, you know, I can't believe that you do it by yourself. 9 hours a week, you get all that audio together and you do it. So I'm taking that compliment and I'm just saying, keep that in mind when it comes to supporting the program. It is just me. There's no producer, editor. There are no runners and there are no assistants. I've had great help over the years from people. I've mentioned them before, you know, Simon, Stuart and Claire and others. But it's just me. It's just me on my own. So there you go. So, yeah, hi to RB Ham, who's watching this from Saskatchewan in Canada. Hope I pronounced Saskatchewan well. Is it the Rough Riders? It's the Rough Riders, isn't it? That's the football team there. Thanks very much for the kind words. So this is not a vanity exercise. You know, the show is only as good as it was yesterday, and it's only as good as you think it is. But I just like to mark anniversaries, and each of the previous anniversaries coincided with a live show. But this anniversary happens to be tomorrow, Saturday, and I won't be on air tomorrow, Saturday. So I just thought I'd come on and have a quick word with you. I don't want to start thanking people individually, because if I do, I'll forget people. And that's a terrible thing. It's very embarrassing. So I don't want to do that, but maybe I'll mention a few names in a minute. So that's it for the show. Hi to Panzer Dragon. Thank you, Panzer, who says he enjoys that I bring humor to reporting on disturbing topics. Yeah, well, look, I'm an Irishman, and I suppose we have a fatalistic approach when it comes to reporting this type of stuff, gallows humor and all of that. I suppose you have to laugh, don't you? Because otherwise you'd cry. Hi to Glenn Samuel as well. Thanks for the compliments. You don't need to keep saying, by the way, great show, but thanks for doing that. Just put something there. I'll give you a mention. So then, and the defense for the Rough Riders is dreadful, according to RB Ham. I'm a sports geek. I've got BT Sports on my package, and I get the ESPN, so I get all the information anyway. John Muldoon, to Dan Page and everybody else that's saying hello. Thanks for saying hello. So I don't mention on the radio show anymore, and you know I don't, because I'm very embarrassed about it. I don't ask for donations and for support for the program. I use a jingle that reminds the audience that it does need supporting. So I'm going to take this opportunity to say, as the anniversary is tomorrow, if you've not made a donation to the program before, go to richieallen.co.uk. That's RICHIEALLEN.co.uk. And my PayPal details and my bank account details are there. My PayPal account is richieallen@hotmail.co.uk. Do make a contribution to the program, because it's ultimately your program. And without you, there wouldn't be one. So thanks for that. So look, while I'm here, there's a couple of stories. Old habits die hard. A couple of stories that are very interesting. I've been following this one. I find this really interesting. The two Russians, Mr. Bosharov and his pal, that are being blamed for carrying out the attack on the Skripals. Well, as I mentioned on yesterday's Richie Allen Show, in fact, I played the interview, or I played a couple of minutes of it anyway. They were interviewed by RT Television. And the woman conducting the interview was a journalist who, her name is Margarita Simonyan. Margarita Simonyan. Now, she's editor-in-chief at RT. And she gave an interview to Kirsty Wark, who is a woman who presents Newsnight. She's one of the presenters of Newsnight on BBC Two. That goes out at, I think it goes out at 10:30 p.m. in the evening. And in the course of the interview, Kirsty Wark, the British presenter, asked the RT editor, Margarita Simonyan, if RT was a propaganda tool for the Russian state. And a couple of seconds afterwards, incensed by the question, regrettably, Margarita Simonyan, the RT presenter, hung up. She walked off the live program. And that really cheesed me off. And I'll tell you why. Because I lie awake at night dreaming about being but being accused of being a propagandist by a BBC presenter. I could get sexually aroused at the thoughts of being live on a BBC program. And a woman like Kirsty Wark says, but aren't you just a propagandist? Oh, ecstasy. I would spend the next 30 seconds asking her to repeat herself. Would you please repeat yourself? You're calling me a propagandist. The BBC and all the rest of it. But regrettably, she hung up. I don't know why she didn't stick around and give Kirsty Wark some of her own medicine. So that's a pretty major story that today. Hi to Paul Hunter. How you doing, Paul? Hi to Gareth Hughes. Hi to Pan. How you doing, Pan? And hi to American Sovereignty Media, Linda Ford as well. Alan White, Willie Wanty. Love these names coming in there. Nice to hear from you today. Another one that came about yesterday, Hayden Hewitt was talking to me about this yesterday, and that is the passing in the European Parliament of the Copyright Directive, which is legislation that allegedly is going to update update copyright for the internet age. Now, TheVerge.com is saying that few pieces of legislation have polarized Europe this much in recent years. Critics, according to The Verge, said the vote heralded the death of the internet, while supporters congratulated themselves for saving the livelihoods of starving artists and giving US giants a poke in the eye. So what really cheeses people off about this, more than anything, is two articles, Article 11 and Article 13. And Article 13 has been called the upload filter by critics. And basically, Article 13 of this new copyright directive will compel platforms like Google and YouTube, which is Google, and Facebook and others to basically delete content that, well, first of all, it compels these platforms, the big platforms basically, to put in algorithms and to put, I suppose, buffers in to make sure that when people upload information or upload content, that if anything is deemed to be breaching the copyright of a third party, well, then that upload, that video, that piece of audio or whatever, is to be instantly deleted, basically. Upload filters will force sites like YouTube and Facebook to scan every piece of content users share, check it against the database of copyrighted material, and then delete, as and when they want. That's according to TheVerge.com. So it is hugely controversial, that, and it is hugely problematic for independent content creators like me and many others that upload content independent of working for an organization, like whether it's your local commercial radio station, whether it's a community station. Independent means independent. You're not working for anybody else. You're not bound by the editorial guidelines of anybody else. It's just you. Your say it for me, your ideas, your opinions, your programs that are edited and produced by you and you and you alone. So that's who it's going to present huge problems for in the future going forward. I talked earlier this summer about my contacts at the BBC and ITV, people I've known for many years, saying to me that the regulatory body, the regulatory authority for the broadcast media in this country, which is Ofcom, is going to next year begin to try to compel totally independent content creators like me to have a license, to be licensed to broadcast. Up until now, the people like me uploading live programs, streaming live radio programs every evening, were exempt from having a license to broadcast because we are not part of a radio station, a linear schedule. This was always the thing. This happened to us in London several years ago. If you upload, as it stands, if you upload to YouTube, if you upload to your own website, a program, or just a stream of consciousness where you're talking about your opinions about any particular issue, you're exempt from having to have a license to do that. But Ofcom told us in London in 2014 it didn't matter that we were online and that we weren't on terrestrial television because they held domain over the internet, and indeed they do. So what's coming down the line next year, and I did a video about this, which you can find on this channel about 3 months ago, is that next year Ofcom is going to tell people like me, and it'll be me first and foremost, right, in this country, that you can no longer do what you do Monday to Thursday and Sunday mornings without being licensed to do so by us. So that's a huge thing. And when you marry that to the copyright directive just agreed by the European Union this week, it's going to make it impossible for people like me to do, not impossible, impossible is unfair. It's going to make it very difficult for people like me to do what it is that I do here in this country. So I don't know whether I'll be here next year. The program will be here in one fashion or another, but whether I'll be in the country or not is another matter. That's something that's come up quite a bit with in conversations I've had with other content creators as well. So there you go. Loads of comments coming in there. Nice to see so many people. Nice to see so many people saying hello and saying nice things about the program. I really appreciate that. And I think these comments will stay on the video in the video process so people can see the comments a little bit later on. So that was it, really. Nothing else to say other than thanks for being there for the last 4 years. Thanks for listening to the program. Thanks for spreading the word about it. And thanks for supporting it. There isn't another radio show like it in the world. There's nothing like it. It is the only completely independent live radio show. It goes out for 2 hours, 4 days a week, and 1 hour on Sunday mornings. That is produced, edited, and presented by one person from a purpose-built studio in Manchester, completely free from editorial guidelines, completely free from the influence of anybody else, any man, any woman. It is my creation. And the daily programs are produced by me and me alone. That's a wonderful thing, that, to be able to do that. For the moment anyway, free from the Cú Chulainn Coon Fair. That's a proper name. Cú Chulainn Coon Fair. Marvellous. It's a wonderful thing, and it'll be nice tomorrow to have a glass of wine and say I've been doing radio programs since the late 1990s, commercially and nationally. So it's a wonderful thing for me to be doing this for myself and for you, and with your support for 4 years. And like I said earlier on, it feels a lot longer than that. So there you go. I'll be on live on Sunday morning as usual at 11 o'clock, looking over the front pages of the Sunday newspapers, the tabloids and the broadsheet. So I'll be taking a look through the papers and what's in those papers as well. And I'll bring you some audio from hi to You Too Can Do This, to James, who says, Richie, Marmite, yay or nay? Of course I'm Marmite. Anybody who's ever opened a microphone ever, who's ever recorded a piece to camera ever, is Marmite. If you're going to do a job like this, you've got to have thick skin. You're not going to please everybody. There's going to be people who like what you do, and there's going to be people that hate what it is that you do. So there you go. To Sir Marley Whiskers and to Daily Pro Rebel Separatist, Richie on a Friday. No, I'm just doing this to mark the 4th anniversary of the program, which is tomorrow. Good stuff. Right. Well, have yourselves a terrific weekend. Like I say, thanks. If you feel like supporting the program and you want to know how, just go to richieallen.co.uk. On there are PayPal and bank account details. If you've never supported the program before and you think, well, maybe I should do that, do it and support it. If you can't afford to support it and you're struggling financially, don't give it a second thought. Continue to listen to it, obviously, and spread the word about it as well. Marvellous. Good stuff. Something fishy to Janie Brooks. Janie's listening in Turkey. It's a wonderful thing. Let me leave you with a couple of stats. The live show is listened to by an average of 70 to 75,000 listeners a day. The podcast, which is hosted by Podomatic.com, which obviously uploads then to iTunes and to Spotify, gets on average about 7 to 10,000 downloads a day. It's actually more than that as well. There isn't a radio show in Europe, completely independent, that has the listenership that this program has. I'm very proud of it, and I'm deeply indebted to you for supporting it. It is genuinely the most listened to independent radio show in Europe. Now, there's a lot of people that I could thank, but if I start it, I'll forget people and I'll be embarrassed later on and people will say you should have thanked me. So I'm just going to give a couple of names. I'm going to thank Jean Ann, who I mentioned earlier on. I'm going to thank Patricia. I'm going to thank Mark. I'm going to thank Chris Seeley. I'm going to thank Hayden Hewitt. I'm going to thank Simon Stewart. I'm going to thank Tez. I'm going to thank Ruth in Australia. And I'm going to stop there because there's other people that I could have thanked and I didn't. Most of all, I'm going to thank Caroline, my other half, my better half, who's not here. But finally, and the last thing I'll say today is to thank you. Thank you for supporting it. You have enabled me for 4 years to be a platform, because it's not about me. My opinions don't matter. Whether I can present or whether I can't present, whether I'm any good or not, doesn't matter. The program is a platform for voices, people who've got important things to say, who would never get a chance to say those things on commercial radio or commercial television. And you have made that possible. So thank you. And I'll raise a glass to you tomorrow when I have a glass of wine tomorrow afternoon. Have a marvelous weekend, and I will see you live on, you will hear me live on Sunday morning on richieallen.co.uk. Tune in radio, the Tune In radio app, the Cogent radio app, Of course. Where else are we? Fab Radio 2 in Manchester, but it's streaming all the time on richieallen.co.uk. Love you for supporting the show. Thanks for doing it. Speak to you on Sunday. 4 years. Here's to the next 4 years of providing a platform for the voiceless. Alrighty. Until Sunday, bye for me. Have a great weekend. Bye now.